And we are live. Gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. Reporting to you live from the new digs.
Hey,
We're so out here, fellas. Officially in the new house. I literally don't have anything set up. I'm not even on my normal PC right now, just on my laptop, because I don't even have anything unboxed. So fuck it. We do it live. We're here. We're so out here. And I'm this week's host, Henry Wind. You can find me on Twitter at Henry Wind. And today I'm joined by two of the best to ever do it. Quite literally two of the best to ever do it. If you've ever listened to a duo podcast between these two, which last week was, it's always eventful, it's always good, and there's always plenty of banter. Nick Hoeflinger, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Henry, and appreciate the compliment, but you as a host as well is fantastic. So I'm very happy to have you on with us because I think us three will have a fantastic episode for our listeners ahead of us. But before we do talk about footy, you mentioned you just moved in. Some other big news that happened over the weekend. A big member of the Mecca of Banter was married.
Yes, he
Mr.
was.
Joseph Bieg got married this weekend, so a lot of us were at that wedding celebrating him. So big shout out to him. Also, before we go any further in the podcast, the Mecca of Banter Rec Sunday League again with another dub. We are now 5-0.
4-0.
5-0. We just don't
top of the table
all
clash.
Top of the table.
Clash. We just that's what we do. We had 2 subs. They had 2 full lines. So sheesh.
Sometimes it's just about the quality,
But as always, you can find me on Twitter at Havey4. I'm super pumped for this episode with you boys.
Yeah, some people need strength in numbers. Some people just need strength in quality. It's all it is. Andy Hoover, hello. How we doing?
How we do? Yeah. That's the sound of a tired Tottenham fan, bro. I'm just tired.
I was going to say, this will be an interesting episode for you.
I'm just tired.
Not gonna lie, I forgot until now that Tottenham lost.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's okay. I enjoy being here every week. I've been genuinely dreading this podcast most of the day. But that's okay. That's why we do it. That's what it's great content when we lose. It's great content when we win. So, happy to be here. No, for real, it's always a good time. Mondays are great. But yep, Young Yid on Twitter. Just don't look for it right now. It's not the time unless you want to, because it's actually pretty funny. But happy to be here. Happy to chat it. Always a good time. Let's run it.
I will say that whenever our teams are down in the dumps, there's something weird, this connective tissue of people that are complaining together online when you're just like, it's just not that bad. Like sometimes whenever United shit, I turn on the United still because I just need to hear Mark Goldbridge talk about how shit we are. And he gets it, he just understands it. So we'll join in that misery together, the three of us this week, as none of our Prem teams have any wins to celebrate this week. We're a sad crew, but we did have a really big dub to celebrate this weekend. That was St. Louis City coming off of the midweek loss 1-0 against LAFC, which was a mixed bag of reviews depending on who you talk to. I saw plenty of discourse online that Wednesday's 1-0 loss was the best we've looked all season in a loss, which is a weird thing to say. However, there was also another group of people, such as myself, that felt like we looked terrible. Like there was no cohesiveness. There was nothing going for us. And LAFC can beat any team 5-0 on any given day. So the fact that we lost 1-0 and kind of a meaningless game for us, whatever. But we knew that St. Louis wanted to stunt in front of City Park one last time for this season. The money line was plus 150 for this game. It was the easiest bet I've made all season. There was no way that we were going to end the season at City Park with a loss. And boy, did we come out to win. We had a dominating 3-0 victory against Houston, coming off of 2 Simon Becher goals. Bech, please. Bech.
Rack City, Bech.
Woman is my father.
Yeah, he was so great. For those of us that watched it, for those of us that watched the highlights, what stood out to you all in this game?
Nikki?
You've already said them. Simon finishing those 2 quality goals, I think, started off, us on the right foot. I also think Hartle is like so brilliant. His 2 assists on the night as well. Like, I think he's fantastic. But I said it before the podcast, I love seeing Betcher score goals. It makes me very happy. When he celebrates, you can tell he's doing it for the crest. That's all he's about. The fact that he was doing it down the road at SLU for years, and now that he's doing it at City Park makes me super happy. So seeing him on the score sheet now and possibly in the next season is going to make me even more happy.
Yeah, and those are 2 great strikers' goals. And I said this before as well, but that right boot outside of the foot lift over the keeper gave me Dele Alli against Arsenal vibes. Not nearly in the same quality rank level, but that was the movement.
What, from versus
run.
MLS, it's not the same.
Hoover when he's
It was,
going.
it was a Carabao Cup. It wasn't in the prime, but yeah, it was deft. I think that's the best way to describe it. And I think too, it's interesting that a couple weeks ago we played this lineup with Twitcher on the right and Klaus and Simon, and then Hartle on the left. That's 4 players who play through the middle, operating on the field. So when we saw it last time and it didn't really work, I don't really remember what game that was, but there was no width. And I think the guys that needed to stay a little bit more wide in Cedric and Hartle did, and it helped. You could see 2 balls, one over the top from wide, and then the other also over the top, but 2 Deutscher wide. Like that, they contributed, really well in their right mid and left mid, air quotes respective roles. So it was good to see them figure that out, and never fall in love with a lone player, lads. Never fall in love. I'm having a hard time not, because this kid is awesome.
That's
a shit house, dude.
I'm hoping to see him next season as well. Because...
I hope we do too. And it's like, he's filling a void that we didn't think he would actually fill. Like I thought he'd come in. I said this, 3 or 4 weeks into watching him play. Within those 3 or 4 weeks, he'd scored more goals than I would have expected him to. Like, he outperformed his loan spell tenfold in my mind. So those are the types of loan guys that you want to keep. It wasn't like a, hey, thanks for coming helping us at the end of the season. We really needed it. Best of luck in the future. It was, he's kind of announced himself to the city as, a fan favorite at this point. So, and we know Nikki knows better than anyone how we can, maybe pick the wrong guys to be fan favorites. But I think everyone's seeing his talent up top. He's scoring goals. He's like a striker. He's not doing amazing things in the buildup, but he's finding himself in great positions and putting the ball away at tight angles. And he just plays hard. And the number one thing that this city wants is a team that plays for the badge, plays hard, plays with grit, intensity, and he does all of that, times 100. I think he's one of the most fiery guys we have on the pitch. So, yeah, it's great seeing him. You know what? Good for Jake Nowinski, too. Good for Jake. That was great.
Totally.
Sure.
Totally.
Why not? I was happy for him.
I was stoked.
Yeah.
I was stoked for that guy. I think it's been a really difficult season for him, and he's articulated that in interviews. That finish, first off, was a good finish.
It was a good finish.
Second of all, that is a run he did not need to make at the end of the game of a 2-0 game to be all the way in the opponent's
the penalty
box.
spot.
That's just a hard working play, and you could tell. I mean, when that went in,
when he pump faked, I was like, oh no,
had to be first time.
When that ball went in, he was so excited. First of all, but all of the guys were so stoked for him. Yeah. At the end of the game, all of the guys came around him and huddled around him. And I have to believe that that's the last time we'll see Jake Nerwinski in a City shirt at home. He might start again in 2 weeks or next week, whenever this last game is. We might rotate everyone for that game. But, I'm glad that he got to go off with that proper send-off and the fans cheering his name. And then there was the post today saying that, we had 20 different scorers in the league this year, and Jake Nerwinski was the cover photo of it because, he was the one that clinched it. So good for him. Y'all have sang Betcher's praises the one thing that really stood out from me, other than his goals, obviously, about this game, is his hold-up play. He, especially in the second half, he did such a great job combining. But when the game got a little bit more stretched, when he got a little bit more tired, when the defense got a little bit more tired, he gave the defenders two choices. One was to let him go by you. I'm going to blow by you with my speed, with my runs, or two, you're going to foul me. There's a couple of times where we played the ball up to him to kind of like deflate the pressure, and he held onto it seemingly too long, and he had no intention of passing it. He had no intention of passing it, had no intention of dribbling. He was just like, I'm literally going to hold the ball until you foul me. That happened multiple times, and that's the mindset that is so difficult to defend against. But man, I want to shout out the big man. I thought that Klaus played incredibly well. And to the listeners or to the fans that maybe don't know ball and you don't know like the intangibles on the field,
the Facebook group. You never got to see any of that.
Yeah. So Klaus didn't score or assist, but for me, he was one of the players of the game for me. So much off the ball movement, so much defensive work. The press starts with him always. There was a couple of plays that he tracked all the way back. He was the last defender back, putting in slide tackles. I mean, it was just a great, great showing from him. And then the unsung hero of the night for me was Akil Watts. Played out of his mind in the 6 role for 90 minutes. Literally did not put a pass wrong the entire game. He was simple. He commanded the field. He didn't stretch too far high or too far back or too far right or too far left. He just literally sat in the middle of the field, and it was one of the most complete performances we've seen out of him. And you know that he has the attacking ability of a right back or a left back to go forward, combine. He's shown that, several different times this year. But to play his true position as a 6 and play it that dominantly, I was stoked for the guy. I was so happy for him. I didn't expect necessarily at the beginning of the year to say that by the end of the season, Akil Watts is going to be our jack of all trades guy, but he has played significant minutes now at the left back position, the right back position, center midfield. And I think he even played one game as like a right mid or a right winger. So he's played a lot, and that has to bode well for him. I definitely believe that he deserves to be on an MLS roster. I hope that we retain his rights into next year, into the following years. But if it's not us, I think he definitely deserves to be on that MLS roster. And Berkey came up with some massive saves too. Let's not underplay that.
As much as we've been praising the play that we had in the game, the performance that we had, it could have very well easily been 3-2. 3-3. I mean, there was some, and it's what really bugged me is the chances came when they went down a player.
Yeah.
They got a red, and then they somehow turned it on and had like 3 or 4 like very open chances that Berkey had to make some pretty quick reaction saves against, and I was not happy about it. And I think it was because once again, our center back partner, I don't know if it's the whole center back partnership or the whole defensive back line. I think we get complacent sometimes, and then we switch off, and then in that moment when we allow us not to follow runners or us not to switch off with runners, and they definitely had some very wide open chances that Berkey was on his head for.
Yeah, and he really did. He stood on his head. It was great to see. We've said this a couple of times throughout the back half of the season, but man, did we absolutely hose New England in this Parker Kessler trade. I mean,
oh, dude, he's great.
I was watching some of the shit he was doing this game between progressive carries or progressive passes or even just defensive agility, and I was like, how the fuck did we get away with that? But highway robbery, I think, is what they call it in the business. But it was a great performance. The City Park was buzzing. It was another sellout. It was just really great to see after a really challenging season. It was really great to see that place rocking one more time. And say it, Nick. Say it.
I've been wanting to say this for a while, but the first 4 games Timmy Parker started for New England, they allowed 9 to 11 goals.
Oh,
that's not good.
No, Not good at
No.
all.
Ooh.
He goes up against that Messi guy in the next couple of days. Their last game is against New England. So yeah, St. Louis City. We have one game left. We look forward to this episode. I was going to say every year, but it's literally been 1 year that we've done it. But our season review episode will be coming up in a couple of weeks. So we'll break down the season as a whole and kind of what we need to address in roster in the off season and top performers whose stocks went up this season, whose stocks went down this season. It's been pretty well documented from our crew over this year, but we'll get into that as the weeks come. So shout out the boys in red. One final game, on the 19th, a couple weeks from now. We have one more, and then that will be all she wrote. But a big City 2 playoff run to support the City 2 team in Jose Kojima. So we'll definitely be checking out some of those games. I encourage all the listeners, if you haven't made it out for a City 2 game, please do. They're a ton of fun. So from the celebrations of the episode to the bullshit of the episode, which is the Premier League, which the three of us don't have a lot to celebrate in this space. But it is our duty as podcast hosts who talk about the Premier League to talk about this. So we're going to start off with a statement, actually, from the gaffer.
The gaffer?
No, not Jurgen Klopp, not Arne Slot, but Ryan Butchart, the gaffer of the Lafayette men's footy team. Hoof, take it away.
He sent over a quick statement. What was their score? I just haven't watched any Liverpool at all, so don't know anything about this.
For what it's worth, I actually tried to wake up to watch this game because I was like, you know what? I haven't watched any Liverpool. I'm gonna be on the pod. I should be able to talk about it. I got through the first half and I was like, I hate this.
Yeah,
I hate everything about this, and I don't want to watch it anymore.
Yeah. So here's the statement. Arnie's army is flying. 2 goals conceded in 9 Prem games. Best defense in the league right now. Style is starting to show with more patience and slowed down tempo. Next 3 weeks after the international break are going to be a grind with top-level squads. We'll really see what Arnie is made of in his decisions and squad rotational strategies. Also, Ryan Gravenberch is everyone's father. Best midfielder in the Prem this season so far at this point. The best part of watching this new system is seeing Gravenberch take a huge role and thrive in it. Feels like a brand new signing with no money spent.
I agree with that statement. I think that he has been fantastic. He's been.
How do you pronounce his name?
Gravenberch.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I used to buy him in like FIFA 19 because he had like 40 potential.
I love that. He's a wonder kid. He's 10.
Yeah.
10 high guy. So,
too bad they didn't get him.
Sometime. Yeah, I know. Tried. But, I hate that Liverpool team. What Butch is saying is true in the sense of definitely more slowed down. Definitely not that same like high flying gegenpress all the time. A little bit more controlled. Gravenberch has been great, through 7 games that we've played so far in the Prem. It's not about the first 7, it's not about the last 7, it's about the whole 36 that you play. So we'll see if they can keep it up. I don't know what their 3 weeks after the international breaks looks like or why Butch is like worried about that, but it's going to get really spicy if that is one of those games. Is this a Manchester City game? Like I think it's going to get.
They play us next week.
2 weeks.
High
but
flying.
Yes. Yeah, it's Chelsea, Leipzig, Arsenal, Brighton, Leverkusen, Villa. So that's a hell of a rod. Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see how they go. Jota's finding his form again. I don't know if he was just really injury ridden last year or if what it was, but wasn't playing a ton. Huh?
Did you guys see the goal?
No.
Chalobah was. I hate to say it to him, but Chalobah literally just was standing there and Jota like ran right in front of it.
Really?
It was a really bad look on him. So that's why I was shocked by Ryan's flying comment because it was kind of a mistake by the center back for the goal.
Palace should have had a pen too. Let's not forget
Yeah,
this. Virgil van Dijk
very much should
ripping
have.
down player in the box.
I was gonna say, besides that part, I think one of the reasons, and I hate having to say this over and over again, Van Dijk is just such a strong force for them in their back line, not only defensively but even offensively. When he has the ball at his foot, like he can ping a pass, and I think that he's just so consistent, and that shows when he's bringing up these shutout stats.
Well, he should have had a pen called on him too. So
I was going to say,
I
it also helps whenever you got the refs on your side, so you can just do whatever you want. And, I just honestly, don't fucking care about talking about Liverpool at all. It just we're just going to move on to the team that I hate talking about equally as much, which is Arsenal. Came across a 3-1 victory over Southampton. Now, Hoover, you had a funny experience with this game about not wanting to turn this game on, and why is that?
I just didn't. I don't even want to say it. Give these kids more confidence in how I feel about them. But it was 0-0 at half. I texted. I didn't even get up to watch many of these games. I texted Hen and Dobes and was like, "It's 0-0. Not even going to turn it on because they're going to score a late goal and win, and it's going to be like, oh, we're the best in the world again." Sure enough, Southampton scores, and I didn't say anything. And then they tied it up pretty quickly. And then I was like, yeah, nope, definitely not doing it now. So couldn't tell you anything about the game. Did not watch a second. I do know that in-house Southampton fan, Shauno, felt pretty aggrieved by the no offsides decision on the second goal, which I watched back and would definitely agree with. Anytime, and it's such a hard call, I do think, to make when there's a player in an offside position. Does he affect the play? Does he not? Ramsdale can't move until Marino, finishes his run or the ball goes over the top of him. So that I definitely saw where they were coming from on that. Do I think it changes the outcome of the game? Maybe not. But it keeps it tight way later. So, whatever. Good for them.
Yeah, so I fortunately got to watch this with Shauno. And one of the big things he kept saying was he was pissed that they were pretty much making it close. He was like, Arsenal was supposed to come in and spank us, and they did not. So of course that got his hopes up. I completely agree with you, Hoove, that that offsides call, and Sean, that offsides call is horrendous. I think it's funny how many times we hear VAR situations for Arsenal fans and how they think that VAR is against them, when I think time and time again they get calls called for them as well. So I don't want to hear any of their bullshit when it comes to VAR and them not being on their side. I think Southampton's not that bad of a squad this year. I think their young what's his name? I'm going to blank it. It's Pickings or Sean's going to be so pissed I got this wrong. But he's their right winger. He's their young right winger who it was funny, middle of the game, I looked at Sean and I go, he's probably gone.
Dibbling. Yeah.
Dibbling. I'm like, he's probably gone next year. And he was like, oh yeah, he's for sure gone. Any player that's good on Southampton leaves us. So I felt
he was really good against United too. He was really good against United early in the season.
Yeah, I thought he was very good.
I saw that Kai scored again. So it made me pull up the the top goal scorers in the Prem this year, and it is kind of crazy. It's a very evenly dispersed table, except for Haaland. Haaland has 10. He is way in front. But then the top 10 positions are Haaland, Brian Mbeumo, which was a 5-3 win for Brentford this weekend. Cole Palmer, Luis Diaz, Danny Welbeck, John Duran, Kai Havertz, Liam Delap for Ipswich, Nicholas Jackson, Madueke, Ollie Watkins. And that is your top 11. Just kind of crazy. It's wide open. I don't know if anyone's going to catch Haaland, but pretty wide open in the scoring. So cool for Arsenal, I guess. Good for them. He's not here to defend himself. He's not here to say anything. Didn't send a statement. So, Lucas, sorry about you, brother. The beauty of it now is we get to talk about everyone's favorite team, it's Manchester United.
In a thriller.
We get to talk about United in a 0-0 thriller against Aston Villa. Lads, I thought we were going to lose 4-0. in all the commentary to this game, especially after the midweek collapse was against Porto. I thought that we were going to come into Aston Villa, get spanked, and then Ten Hag was going to get sacked in the morning. And then I saw the lineups an hour before the game, and I saw us starting a center back packing of Johnny Evans and Harry Maguire, which the announcers
scared you a little.
Yeah. The announcers lovingly said during the broadcast that they have a combined age of, what was it, like almost 70.
Oh,
our backline was a combined age of almost 70. Our center back partner,
67.
And to be fair, Johnny Evans, man of the match. Man of the match. Johnny Evans dropped a masterclass in this game. And I think the entire game plan from Ten Hag was to not lose. Everything before the Rasmus Højlund substitution in the 64th minute seemed like we had at least some attacking chances, not a ton of clear-cut chances, but it was mainly that we just didn't want to lose this game. The moment that we made that substitution for Højlund, Xerxes came on, we stopped attacking altogether. However, Bruno rang one off the crossbar kind of later in the game. That could have been a smashing ground classic against Villa. But it was great to pick up a point against a Champions League side because, again, we are not that. I'm still not convinced that, Ten Hag's going to make it through. There's actually a meeting tomorrow going on with the ownership group of the club to decide the future of Erik Ten Hag. It's been largely discussed that tomorrow there's going to be a club statement of we're staying with him or he's leaving. If he is leaving, sounds like Ruben Nistelrooy will get the interim manager until they can figure something out. That would just be a disaster, in my opinion.
Quick answer, no thought of it. Who would you sign as a manager if it happened?
If we could, I don't know if we'll be able to get him. Julian Nagelsmann.
Okay.
I think that we would try to lure him away from Germany. I think that that's going to be a really, really tough sell. Because some of the other
say nowadays,
some of the other managers that are out there, I just don't think that it would go well. I think on one hand, you could go for Thomas Tuchel, which I think would bring in the structure, the discipline, the just cutting out all the bullshit. I think Thomas Tuchel would do that immediately, but everywhere he's gone, he's had an absolute blow up with the ownership group everywhere he's gone. And Manchester United has one of the worst ownership groups in all of footy. And so I don't foresee that going very well. There's also a couple of rogue shouts. Last year or 2 years ago, people were talking about Zidane. I don't see that ever happening. Zidane to United, I don't see that happening. People lately have been throwing around Xavi from Barcelona. I don't see that happening either. I think that we would try.
Shouts.
No, Mourinho, no chance. I think that maybe we would try with Xabi Alonso, maybe to try to get him out of Leverkusen at the end of the season. But all those people, a lot of those big guys that we would go for probably wouldn't come until May, So it wouldn't be something where we'd be able to get them in January. So we'd be looking at Van Nistelrooy for the rest of the season. And what are you playing for at that point? Are you just playing for vibes? It's just not a good look. Yeah. And I think that part of me wants to feel optimistic if Van Nistelrooy takes over, he could have a couple of good games, but it's what happened with Ole, where it's Ole won his first 9 games or whatever, and they gave him the full contract. And then that was 3 years of not great. So I don't know what's going to happen. I feel really detached from this United team at the moment. It's honestly, it's a tough watch every single week. It's I care so much, but at the same time, it's as soon as the game's over, I'm ugh, just get it over with. Got to detach away from that. I also just don't understand what's going on with Ten Hag's choices. Christian Eriksen starting and playing almost 90 minutes of every single game, and he's been playing well, don't get me wrong, but we're going up against Aston Villa, where it's you need that dominant central midfield anchor. It's why did we sign Ugarte? Ugarte was supposed to be this 6 covering for Casemiro, and now Casemiro and Ugarte aren't even playing. Like both of them are on the bench. So
And
it's like I don't really
huge game.
Yeah, I don't really understand what's going on. Apparently, Mazraoui pulled out of the Morocco national team this week because he might be carrying an injury, which means we actually don't have any other wingbacks, because Luke Shaw's dead, I think. Malacia is still weeks away from coming back. I don't know. It's just not looking good. I don't really know what's going on with us. I was reminded, though, because, football Twitter is such a funny place that uh, you know, we always talk about how you want to give the manager time to implement their shit. Ten Hag has won 2 trophies in the last 2 seasons, which is huge. But we're on year 3 of this project, and unless there is like a trophy at the end of the season or something like that, like you do have to see progression. But I was reminded that are any of you familiar of what happened with Arteta in year 3?
Who's that?
He is the manager of Arsenal Football Club.
Oh.
And in his 3rd season, they sat in 20th for a couple weeks. They lost their first several games of that season, and all of their fans were calling for Arteta to be out. And for whatever reason, the ownership group trusted in him, and he turned it around. Not saying that Ten Hag's going to get there, but it was nice to see that everyone who was like sucking Arteta's dick virtually were probably the same guys that were calling for his resignation a couple of years ago. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Ten Hag at the moment. I want it so badly for him. I want it to be him so badly, but it's just not inspiring to me at the moment. I don't understand how we're trying to play. I don't understand what we're trying to do. Bruno Fernandes needs to take like a really long look in the mirror because he's not it. He's not playing like the guy we know that he can. Mason Mount's been out all season once again, but the few games that he did start, we were able to press in a way that we just can't with Bruno, and we can't do without him. So I don't know. I don't know what's the solve. I don't know what's going to make this current group of players, because I feel like every year we get to this part of the season where we're like, fuck it, let's do a hard reset, sell all the players, get a new coach. And we can't do that. So that's how I feel about United at the current moment, fellas.
Henry, I feel bad, but I'm also just like, oh, the tables have turned. Like, how I feel like you were last year is how I am this year, of like, it could be way worse. I could be United. It's like what I'm thinking. So I do feel bad for you, Hen. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and it's such fine margins in this stage of the season. Like we talked about last week, or I guess you all talked about on the episode of the Tottenham United game. The winner of that game was 5 points off the top of the table, and then we were not the winner of that game, and we've fallen further down the table. But like, had we won against Tottenham and had we won against Villa, we'd be right back up there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, Absolutely. It's such fine margins, but we're getting into this territory of like, we're 7 games down. If you don't start putting 3 points on the table consistently, there is no coming back.
I completely agree with you, and I think, like you said it yourself, I feel like, especially with all these injuries and especially with everything that's going on with you guys, you need something that you can fall back on, and that's usually an identity or a style of football. And I feel like you guys don't even have that, so it's almost like lose for you guys right now. You keep getting injuries, and you're having a hard time finding your identity. It's like I'm hoping something. I'm not even hoping that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. That's really nice of you to say.
Yeah,
that's really kind.
I can confidently tell you that I don't feel bad.
I
kind of need it.
I hope you guys continue to fall.
But you're keeping me afloat on this podcast, so thanks for that, brother.
I'm just like literally every game that I'm watching, like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes when I watch like y'all's teams play, I can tell what the plan is. I mean, granted, Chelsea last year, there was so much where none of us knew. It was literally like, here's 11 guys that just met last week at an ice cream social, go pick a ball. With us, it's like there's just nothing, and it feels like there's even things that like Ten Hag is telling these guys, make sure you do this or don't do that. I don't know. I don't understand it. So fuck it.
It is wild.
We have a nice little break right now, and we need it. Just like the last one, we needed that one too. I'm going to pass the torch on to the other team that picked up a point this weekend. Chelsea, against Nottingham Forest, a 1-1 game with a little bit of fireworks in there. Nikki, what happened?
Yeah, absolutely. Forest ain't a bad team, guys. They have one loss in the season.
Hey,
And
Nuno, tough guy to play against.
Tough
they're
guy.
a bad side. I was telling you guys, I watched this one with Sean again, and he knows firsthand how good James Ward-Prowse is on set pieces. And I think that will continue to be a very dangerous outlet for Nottingham Forest. Because if they just continue to park the bus and have 10 in the box for the entire game and they get a corner or a set piece every once in a while, it's going to be dangerous because James Ward-Prowse is on the end, and that's exactly what happened in this game for their goal. Ward-Prowse played a ball into Chris Wood, and he finished it home, which was a good goal. Yeah, I don't even know where to start.
Speaking of James Ward-Prowse, though, IQ level 1,000 on taking the red card. That was genius. Yeah. That was genius.
Yep, it was. He was
12
on
minutes
goal.
left. He would have been wide open on net, one-on-one. Yep. He didn't care.
Yep.
Take that ball.
It reminded me when the second half reminded me a lot of the Arsenal City game where the red card just made it worse for the low block. Like the whole second half they were in a low block, and then the red card happens and they sit even lower. The one thing I wanted to talk about mainly was Madwicki. I like him, but there's this little bit of me that irks me about him. He consistently is scoring goals for us, and Henry, you even mentioned he was in second with goals in the Prem at the moment. I just think every time he has the ball, I know he's shooting. Like,
a little selfish.
Every single time. And there was a couple of chances early on in the game for us that if he just made the right pass, I think we score. And I will say there's this fine line of I like it because he's a winger and I want him to attack and to score goals. And when obviously with the goals that he's been scoring, and he does score a goal for us this game, like it's working. But there also is a little bit of like, I really do wish he would make that final pass instead of shoot. And I think every time he has the ball, he's trying to shoot. So I'm hoping that gets better in the future. I don't know if you guys watched this game or watched this, but Cole's touch on that center back to play it around him and not finish. It was unfortunate, but great save by the keeper. That's another thing. Their keeper stood on their head. He made like incredible last minute saves in the 90th minute. We had a couple of very obvious.
That would have been an insane goal. That would have been an insane goal.
Yeah. With Cole, I want him on the ball more. Like he was on the ball a decent amount, but like I want him orchestrating our every single movement. Like I literally want him to be a point guard. Like I'm not kidding. Like the ball passes half, I want him to come check, get the ball, and then start it because he is brilliant. Another one, Henry, you'll like this as well. Jadon Sancho this game, there was moments where I thought he was a little slow with his decision making. I think he's very shifty, and he didn't turn the ball over a lot. So like it wasn't like he was losing possession, but there was definitely moments where he slowed it down instead of making a quick pass, and getting our like momentum going forward. That irked me a little bit, but I'm once again picking at straws here. I think he had a good game. Moises Caicedo, such an interesting player to me. I think he looks like he has concrete in his shoes, like the way he stomps around in the midfield. I think like it kind of shows in the way he plays. Like he'll put in a hard tackle, but he's having to put in hard tackles because he puts himself in those situations, like with a bad touch or a like not hard enough pass. Like it's a lot of recovery tackles for him, which like make him look great because he's putting in some tackles as our numbers.
Yeah, but that's always part of it. It's like, did you have to be there in the first place?
Exactly. Totally. So I'm not liking that. But like I said, I think Forest is a good side, and Madwicki did score a good goal. We had majority of the possession. We had most of the shots. I don't think we had crazy amounts of very good chances. Like I think there was like 2 or 3, but that was also because they had a crazy low block, and when we got the red, it was even lower. Mudryk coming on as a sub, I thought he had a great performance, and I think the
$100 million sub, baby.
I know that's unfortunate, but our whole team is pretty much $100 million players now at this point. So
that's a good point.
The competition.
Our $100 million sub came on as well. So we're in the same on that one.
Fidget spinner.
But I'm okay with him being a sub because when he comes on, it's electric, and I thought he had a good substitution for us.
Yeah.
You guys almost could have blown it too. Like those last 5 minutes were electric. That was the most fun.
Sanchez, as well as their goalie, stood on his head as well. He had a couple of really good saves. He's an interesting one to me. Him as a shot stopper, I think he's one of the best. But with the ball at his feet, he's just atrocious. I could literally tell in the first 10 minutes of the game that during practice that week that they had worked on him just clearing the ball because there was 2 or 3 where he was kind of close of making a decision and he just bombed it as far as he could down the field. And I was like, okay, I'm happy we discussed this during the
high, far, and wide, fellas. Far, and wide.
And to be fair, we have Nico Jackson who's pretty quick and will sometimes get on the end of that ball.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Woke is ruining the game. We need more bomb balls up top, bro. I'm telling you.
This utter woke nonsense.
Nonsense, bro. Quit playing it out of that.
You guys are much on that game, but we do play Liverpool next, and the thing that I wanted to bring up is we have 3 players who will be out on yellow card suspensions, which does not help us at all. Cucurella, Caicedo, and Colwill.
Good thing you have 40 other guys in each of those positions.
Well, so it was funny. All of our responses were, "Oh yeah, too bad." Here, let me even pull it up. It's we have Vega and Lavia and someone else starting instead.
Dude,
great watch.
Dewsbury Hall too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So the depth is real nice for the squad, but going up against Liverpool without those guys, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Can't wait to talk about this game. What happened, bro?
Hey, Brighton. No, not everyone can beat Brighton, dude.
Dude, Brighton's a good team.
Yeah,
Brighton's a good team. But what happened?
Let me finish my beer really quick.
What happened, bro?
15 bad minutes. 15 bad minutes. But a lifetime of accepting that you're mentally weak. That's what happened. It's never changed. Nothing's changed. Hadn't won 6 straight for 6 years. Why would we want to do that? That's not in the Spurs DNA. Mentally weak, bro. Mentally weak players. The first goal went in for Brighton and it was over. The game was well and truly dusted. There was never going to be a response. There was never going to be a response from anyone. Destiny Doggy had an absolute nightmare. Absolute nightmare at left back. Mickey Van de Ven didn't look much better, and we've all can agree on his quality. There's no...
Dude, that guy's not good.
Yeah, it sucks ass.
He is not good specifically against Manchester United.
There's no leaders. And, that's an easy cop-out for a guy living across the pond to say after watching them for as long as I have. But, there's no Vertongans. There's no Toby Alderweirelds. There's no Harry Kanes. There's no Moussa Dembélés. There's no, those guys were animals. And there's nobody, Cuti Romero, I would say, has that level of aggression and heart. But he doesn't speak English. He's not doing a lot to hype these guys up mid-game. He's not organizing the box. The back line
Plus, you guys got rid of Oliver Skip, which was
man.
He's held it together.
Who knew he was the glue? Soft. I just think this is it gets so effing aggravating coming on this podcast and having to be weekend. We had 5 wins in a row and beating United was the best I've felt as a Spurs fan in a while. I can confidently say that. We're the kings of 1 step forward, 5 steps back. We looked like we absolutely forgot how to play football in the second half. The first half was great. Could have had 3, maybe 4, if Timo Werner could figure out how to effing find a pass, bro. Find a ball through the middle that connects to a running player. That's it. That's all we needed out of him was something a little bit better than what he's got. A little bit better. I'm not even asking the world here. I need a little bit more quality out of the guy.
It's never coming. It's never coming, Hoof.
I watched him at Leipzig, bro, when 3-4 years ago, and I've watched highlights of him since this game. I don't know what happened. You want to talk about like the lack of confidence just destroying a guy? It's right here. Like we've seen him score worldies over and over and over in Leipzig. He scored 1 billion goals for them. Nothing like that since he's come to the Premier League. So Mikey Moore has to start. There's just not a world where I really want to see him start another game. And then Mikey Moore came in and looked.
What's the word with Son? How injured is he?
He should be back after the international break. It was longer than the 2 weeks I think was anticipated, so they just left him off and didn't want to test it before the break. So, no balls, bro. These guys just don't have nutsack, and it's so aggravating that you can't tough out an away game up 2-0. Destiny completely botching a cross. Mitoma was great. Mitoma was excellent. We're watching Mitoma get back to the level he was pre-injury last year.
Oh, not now.
So unfortunate.
Not now, Hoof. Hoof just cut out in the middle of his rant.
Normal cross.
Normal cross.
Okay.
Hoover. Well, I mean, if he comes back, he comes back. You know what I'm saying?
We would love to have him back if he does, Henry.
I was looking again. Like I said, I was looking forward to this part of the podcast for a while because we make you feel better. Tottenham made me feel better in this weekend because at least we came away with a point, and at least we didn't do what they did, which was completely collapse against
bottle job.
So, an absolute bottle job. And realistically, that's just, I feel like it's the story of Spurs of like step forward, step backwards. But what they can promise you each and every day is it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun watch with Tottenham. So let's move, Nick. Let's move on to our midweek games that we had. And we'll go quickly here, but we have some European competitions. And friends, if you are unfamiliar with the Champions League, you better get familiar because spicy goals galore and some of the most ridiculous score lines that I have ever seen in this competition, just to call out a couple that we'll go into a little bit.
And also, if you're not watching, like Henry was saying, the broadcast team for the Champions League is
top tier.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Top tier.
If you are missing out on that, definitely give it a watch.
Top tier. You have Barcelona winning 5-0 over Young Boys, which Barcelona is just absolutely flying.
They're scoring goals right now at will. I think
Hansi Flick is having them.
I was going to say he's got them on all cylinders. I thought Lewandowski was like out, like done for, like not really a player anymore, and I think he's kind of rejuvenated. Even with I think with Yamal it helps a lot because he's such a talent and a young player. And so Lewandowski doesn't have to take all the heat sometimes. But I think Barcelona is very dangerous, and they're going to continue to score a lot of goals. And if they get shutouts, it's going to be very hard to beat them.
Yeah. They also just signed Szczesny because Ter Stegen's out for the season. So Szczesny came out of retirement that he went into like 3 weeks ago, and now he's playing for Barcelona. Arsenal beat PSG 2-0, which PSG does not have Kylian Mbappe anymore, but PSG is a very solid team, so that's a big win for them. Dortmund scored 7 goals against Celtic. Inter scored. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to make a comment on the Arsenal game. PSG outpossessed the shit out of them. Arsenal is going to be a counterattacking team, I think, this year in the Champions League because they're just going to get outpossessed by most teams.
Yeah. I mean,
it's just funny.
Crazy. They're just sitting in, bro. And then we have on the Wednesday slate, we have an absolute shootout between Girona and Feyenoord, which Feyenoord won 3-2. Atalanta,
Insane game that was.
crazy. Aston Villa 1-0 over Bayern Munich. Who would have thought we would have said that in our lifetime?
Never.
This was the surprise for me. Benfica 4-0 over Atletico Madrid. To score 4 goals in a Champions League game is insane. 4 goals against Atletico Madrid, nuts. Lille 1-0 over Real Madrid.
Huge. And you know the drama in that one, right? Mr. Kylian Mbappe did not start. They started Endrick and Diaz, and no goals.
No goals. And then we have the Juventus Leipzig game, which Juventus won 3-2 because of an absolute shift from the dog, Weston McKennie, proving his weight in gold once again, putting in a great performance. Vlahovic coming away with 2 goals in the game. What a round for the Champions League.
Yeah, the Champions League is very spicy right now. I haven't fully grasped the format and the whole table and all of that stuff. So if any of our listeners fully understand it and would love to explain it to the mob, by all means, send it our way, because I don't fully understand it. But I love watching the Champions League, and it was definitely spicy this past week.
Yeah, it's great. It never disappoints. And just like you said, Nikki, the commentary team, it's just what dreams are made of.
Yeah.
Do we have Mr. Hoover rejoining the podcast?
Legendary commentary teams.
Legendary commentary.
Andy Hoover is just back with us.
I guess we just cut off a real bit of head loss there. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was like I think that maybe Riverside was listening to you, and they said, "Let's just fucking end it. Let's end his misery. Like, we just know he's going through it. Let's just take him out of the game."
Final words on that. That sucked, but yeah, continue on.
Incredible, brother. We just went through some of these Champions League games. Is there anything that you want to call out with the Champions League games? I know that you got to watch quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't know what we've already hit already, but
we hit them all.
I think Lille beating Real Madrid was wild. Jonathan David, crazy.
Yep.
Mbappe not starting. Benfica hanging 4 on Atletico Madrid's pretty wild. That's nuts.
Insane.
When the podcast squad chem is just insane, we know what to talk about because Hoof hit on like 2 big points that we wanted to hit on.
Dortmund bagging 7 also travesty. I didn't think Celtic were that bad.
No.
But 7 goals
they did.
Missouri State did, for what it's worth. Missouri State put in 7 over the weekend. That's crazy.
Bear up, baby.
Mashed out there.
You said bear up. Come on, Hoof.
Hey, one time
we
had class together. HR 350. You guys don't forget. We had a class together. We had a project together. He's a good guy.
He said, "Don't forget." People forget, bro. People forget. Now we also had some. We have the Champions League, and then we have the competitions that our team play in, which is not the Champions League. So, starting with the Europa League. Manchester United, man, going to give me an aneurysm once again. So Manchester United tied 3-3 against Porto. After going up 2-0 in the first 20 minutes of the game off of a Rashford goal and Hoyland goal, where what is his name? David Costa, the goalkeeper, Diego Costa, doing his absolute best just to sell the game for Porto. 2 massive mistakes from him led to 2 goals. Great to see Rashford score. Great to see Hoyland score. And then we just fucking lost it. We let up 3 unanswered goals over the next several minutes of the game. And it took a Bruno red card. And it took a last-minute Harry Maguire goal off of a corner for us to even steal a point in this fixture. Now, Nikki, you mentioned how this the Europa League, the Champions League has this new format, how there's no more like head-to-head stuff. It's not a group stage. It's like, 32 teams or 36 teams in the top whatever happen. I want to remind you out of 36 teams, Manchester United, the mighty Manchester United, are sitting in 21st place, which is synonymous of where we're sitting in the Premier League table as well. So it's all around not great for us. I don't really have a lot to say about that other than,
I didn't think it was a red. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, so
That's all I'll say. I didn't think it was a red.
he doesn't touch him.
Nope.
So, there's that. So, surprised that maybe VAR didn't reverse it. However, well, I mean, it's a second yellow, so it wasn't a straight red. They can't reverse it. There's that. But you can't be doing that, brother. You're on a yellow. You cannot be jumping up in the air and putting your foot in someone's face.
In the middle of the
trying to
box.
settle the ball.
No.
But you can't do that. You can't do that, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Throw your head in there.
I think it's
I don't know. It's part of what I said during the Premier League portion. Bruno just needs to take a good, long look at himself of just what the fuck are you doing?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong with that at all. But I think if you completely took this play and removed it out of it being Bruno Fernandes and all of his history right now, everyone would be like, that's a soft ass red.
I would say that was a deserved yellow card because you can't do that in any part. I think that would be a yellow. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong. I'd be pissed because he didn't connect, right?
Down for the header.
Balls in the air.
Not even jumping
Balls in the air.
I'm not having it, Nick. I'm not having it. You can't do that. Can't do that. Going with your head, going with your shoulder. Fucking punch the ball. I don't care.
It's that scissor kick.
You can't.
Imagine
if he connects with the ball and he's still making a dangerous play, it'll come back.
If he hits a bicycle,
I've seen bicycle kicks get called back for dangerous plays because sometimes they are. Yeah,
because they are.
Yeah, Maguire's on my shit list as a Porto money line better. That sucked. Terrible beat on that front. Pissed about that one.
Yeah. But the thing is, man, it's just more of the same. Going up 2 goals and then letting up 3. I don't know if that's on Ten Hag. I don't know if that's on the players, but right now it's just on Manchester United as an organization. So that's not great. Tottenham played a team that I've never heard of before. You won. Brian Johnson
6
is the GOAT.
Got to find some positive. And my positive aspect is that we went on the road in Europe and won with a B team. Massive. I mean, you boil it down, huge. I don't give a shit who you play. You could play whoever the hell Nick played in the Conference League, Genk, and wherever bumfuck Sweden. And if you win that game,
I've heard Genk before.
Hey, they're Turkish. I think no, they're Hungarian. Just kidding. Hungarian champions, by the way. So put some respect on Hungary. No, I don't care where you go and you play a B team. You get great rotational minutes and you walk away with 3 points. Everyone feels pretty good. They had a great finish at the end of the game. No, I don't have many thoughts other than that's 6 points from the last 2 in Europe. Sitting pretty at the top of the knockout, automatic through the knockout round thing or whatever they're doing with the new table, which I kind of like, by the way. I do like where it's headed. I think for the teams that are having to play in the knockout rounds, it's a shit ton of extra games you got to play. So I understand the gripe, and I'm team.
Yeah,
we should play less games to make the ones that count more fun. But hopefully, I think the conversation is 12 points is almost guaranteed gets you through in that top portion of the table, and then you're good. You don't have to play those knockout games. That's all I want. I just want to finish in that top portion. Hopefully nobody gets hurt. Hopefully we don't get embarrassed by Roma at some point. Those are what your concerns are now. But with I think there's 5 games left in the table schedule. So 12 points is super realistic. Need it to just keep the vibes okay. And we move. That was great. Brennan Johnson scores again. Ole, ole, ole.
And we move. Last but not least on this European fixtures, Nick, Conference League. Wouldn't know her,
Tight.
but
Tough league.
Conference League.
Ask
What's
Conte.
going on over there?
Tough
4-2 dub. Tough league. Yeah, ask Conte.
I think I've said it many times that no matter even if we start a completely entirely different 11 than what we did in the Premier League, we still will score a shit ton of goals and allow some goals as well. And I think this was a beautiful case of that. I thought we played well. Like I said, 11 different players than our starting lineup in the Premier League. Like Hoover was saying, I don't know if I'm going to call them a B team because I think a lot of these guys will get minutes and possibly starting for us in the future. But it was really nice to see Drewsbury Hall get his first goal as a blue, and also Bieg, our left back as well, getting his first goal as a Chelsea blue. So super pumped about that. I'm going to be honest with you. The only stat that I really want to talk about that blew my mind this weekend that came from it was Chelsea's team value is at about a 1.6 bill. And the rest of the entire conference league is 1.5. So that's
insane.
That's real cool. So if we don't win this tournament, I'll be quite upset.
You're leading the table in something, brother, and that's what counts.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see. Next week's going to be an interesting week. Or I guess this week's going to be an interesting week. We mentioned that it's an international break. Not a lot going on in the world of footy. We believe that we might take the next week off. We'll let the listeners know on social throughout this week. We'll decide what we're going to do next week. But before we close out, Nick Hoeflinger has an announcement that's very near and dear to his heart in the world of footy. So Nick, take it away, brother.
Yeah, I don't know how near and dear it is of late, but I will say, I was telling you guys before the pod, not like 30 minutes after this was announced on social media, I probably had 4 to 5 people send me it and ask me how I was feeling. And for the listeners who don't know what I'm talking about, Mr. Paul Pogba got his ban reduced from 4 years to 18 months, and he was seen in Turin not too long ago, and will possibly be back with Juve either this year or next. So, not saying I'm back on the train, but I think it would be nice to see that man on the field again.
I got a text yesterday from one of my other Manchester United friends. He's like, "Bro, did you see the Pogba news?" I was like, "Yes." And he goes, "Should we get Pogba back? They're going to terminate his contract at Juventus. He'll be there on a free." And I was like, "Dude, just stop." I was like, "Stop. Mute the word Pogba on your Twitter. Don't even bother. We're not crossing that bridge." I wish him all the best, but
I hope he balls, but I wouldn't get on any train.
He's going to look sick
no train.
at Orlando City.
Yeah, you're right.
Dude.
You're right. I actually 100% see that.
You think he'll probably go to Saudi now? Like, he'll probably cash in and get that contract. You know, like, he already had to give up the dream of playing, you know,
And I'm telling you, he's probably hurting for some cash right now with all the court fees that he's been going through. And we haven't even, like, his whole doping scandal is, like, just a small bit of all the shit he's gone through this offseason.
It's been weird.
The blackmail stuff, his brothers, and, like, there's a lot of shit that he's spending a lot of money on. So I wouldn't be surprised if he cashed out in Saudi.
Absolutely. Well, fellas, that wraps us up for this edition of the Mecca of Banter podcast. As always, give us some love on the socials, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter. We'll be coming at you all week long with some content. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.